Welcome to the Pull the Shoot podcast with Jeff and Jana. This is our weekly venture into the world of small to medium-sized businesses and the entrepreneurial spirit that drives success.
So our goal here is to help you grow and to be the best you can be, both in business and personally. To do that, we identify and we discuss topics that will hopefully help you as you work to build a successful business.
We also interview business owners and executives. It's our hope that you may be able to gain insight on ways to help you be a better leader and provide a better culture for your people.
Our mission here is to help you pull the chute once a week to work on your business instead of always working in your business.
So we hope you find these discussions insightful, helpful, and useful.
And thanks for your support. We hope you enjoy today's podcast.
Well, welcome to the Pull the Shoot podcast with Jeff and Jana. As always, Jana and I are excited that you're here supporting us. And what we like to do here is just talk to people and find out what they've done and how they've gotten to where they got to. But before we do that, Jana, how are you today? How's things in Nashville?
Things in Nashville are nice, it's nice weather. We don't have any craziness going on,
Yeah, I love it.
No sudden moves, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Well, Jana, I'm excited. We have Greg Giuliano today with us. And Greg, welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you. Very good to be here.
We're excited to talk to Greg. He does a lot of leadership stuff. And so that is right in our wheelhouse. So we're very excited to talk with you today, Greg. So thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it. Greg, as we'd like to do with all our guests, because you could do it way better than we could, let our listeners know a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you're at today, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I got where I am today. I think a lot of it has to do with my wife. I married well. I married up, and had to be the person that she thought I was. So okay, shoot. But anyway, I'm one of those lucky people who gets to do what they love every day. Way back in kindergarten, I can remember that was a long time ago. We were taught to work and play well with others. And that's kind of been my life's work. I started in education, working as a teacher and administrator. And from there, I moved into psychotherapy. And while working in private practice, I became aware of this emerging field called executive coaching. This was back in the last century. And then from there, started doing executive coaching, leadership, and team development. And now more than 25 years later, I've had the privilege of working with leaders and teams around the world, helping them to grow and get better at working and playing with others. Our company, GA Ultra Leadership, preaches and teaches ultra leadership, right? Leadership that goes beyond usual and ordinary to engage, empower, and activate people. And I've written a few books sharing the lessons that I've learned about leadership and change and teamwork. And the most recent came out in December called Coaching for a Change, How to Engage, Empower, and Activate People. So we went from the first floor to the 8th floor. That was my elevator pitch.
Very rapidly. I love that though. But it has a consistency to it, Greg. And that is, like you said, helping people. I mean, psychotherapy, that's a big practice. I mean, that's a big thing to bite off. So it's interesting that you moved into leadership or wanting to coach executives. Why specifically executives? You're talking about like people that are in the C-suite level and people that are running companies.
Yeah, I mean, so anybody who's leading another group of people, and one of the things that I really appreciated about making the shift from therapy to coaching and leadership development was the starting point, right? The starting point in therapy is something is wrong or broken, and can you help me fix it? And one of the things I used to tell my patients is, I applaud you because only healthy people go to therapy. Yeah. Because they recognize something is wrong and they want to fix it. But the starting point for coaching and leadership development is, I'm doing pretty well, I want to do better. So it's not necessarily remedial, it's improvement, it's development, it's intentionally trying to grow yourself and be better tomorrow than I was yesterday. And so the starting point was better. And I love that aspect of the work is, I want to know who I am so that I can keep getting better at living out my unique experience.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Okay. So what have you learned like in the last 10 years then? I mean, that's a little bit different in this leadership because you said you've been in this for about a decade now, or, a couple of decades, but specifically because this new book is titled Coaching for a Change. And Jeff and I talk about this a lot in leadership, how much change is needed in leadership on so many levels. We'd love to get your feedback. Why that title?
Yeah, so I think that, the way that organizations were structured, in the past might have worked in that time, but we're in a period where, especially younger people coming into the workforce, they don't want that same kind of an experience. So the typical traditional command and control, extremely hierarchical organization, that's really off-putting to a lot of people coming into the workforce now. I don't like being told what to do, and I don't think anybody likes being told what to do. And so I think our workforce is shifting to, I'm pretty, you hired me for a reason. I have certain expertise and certain knowledge and skill. And so from my leader, I don't need you to tell me what to do. I need you to point me, and then coach me and go with me, but allow me to own my situation and find my own solutions. And so the title of the book is kind of a play on words, because I think we need to coach for change, right? Helping people to, find their place and participate in organizational change. But I also want leaders to start coaching for a change. Stop telling people what to do and start coaching for a change. If you really want to engage people and you really want to empower them to own their situation and you want to activate them to find their own solutions, then stop telling them what to do and start asking them the right questions.
This is so up Jeff's and I'm sure, Jeff, you've got some comments. I'll let you go. I'll let you run with this.
That's it.
This is so much what we talk about like daily, but go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I love what you're about and what you're doing. I think that's amazing. As Shannon said, it's right in our wheelhouse. So let me so you go into and you work with executives. And so I find this too. It's like, where do you start when you're doing leadership coaching? Well, you have to start at the top so that they can support the people underneath them, right? And the hope that I always have, but you've identified very clearly, is let's start coaching instead of, commanding,
Awesome.
stuff, right? Let's start coaching people. How easy is it to get them to buy into, they're not just being a leader, but they're also being a coach for their people?
Yeah, so it's a bigger shift than they realize, because a lot of the leaders that we engage, they think they're coaching and they're not. And so we have to point that out to them. It's like, no, that question was a breadcrumb. You were leading the witness there, right? It was actually what one of my old coaches called a quagestion, right? You're telling them what to do, but you're saying it in a way that there's a question mark at the end of it. And so it sounds like a question, but you're really telling them what to do. And so we point that out. It's like, yeah, that's not coaching. If you want to, you're teaching, you could be mentoring, but if you're really coaching them, you have to trust that the answer is in their head, or at least the capacity to find the answer is in their head. And you break that habit of being the chief doer and expert problem solver. And that's hard, because leaders got into those rooms, right? You got to that place in that organization because you know a lot and you rely on that. And so we want to shift that, help them make the shift to, you need to be a learner again. So what can you learn from the person that you're coaching, and draw the answers out of them? And that's a harder shift for a lot of leaders to make. One of the exercises that I do with leaders that I coach, who they think they're already good at it, I say, okay, today in all of your meetings, I want you to only ask questions, and you tell me how it went. And they'll immediately go, oh God, Greg, that was so hard. I couldn't do it. I asked one question and then I got caught up in the conversation. And then I started just saying what I think. And it's, as soon as you say what you think, you're the boss. Everybody's just going to salute and go along with it. So I want you to stop. So it's practicing that new habit of using inquiry before advocacy.
Yeah, so I agree with that. And the hardest thing that I always have is basically I say it's really hard to get them out of their own way, right? Because they just
absolutely
they want to control everything. I've told the story before that I started my career at Harris Bank in Chicago, and back in '80, and the funny part is that first of all, you went to work, you put your head down, you did your job, you went home, you got a paycheck, and I can't tell how many times I was told I didn't pay you to think. right?
Yeah.
And then when you wanted to
Right.
be a leader, they wanted you to be an expert in a particular area, which was a huge mistake because once you became the expert, then you told everyone how to do it, right?
Right.
But that
Right.
was their mentality.
Yeah.
So it has absolutely changed, and I think it's for the better because what we miss is that as a leader, we don't have to have all the answers now, right? We
Right.
can rely on our people
Yeah.
to help us figure things out. Where before it was like everyone looked to you and you had to have all the answers. And how many people have all the answers? They just don't.
Right. And you ended up with a team of baby birds waiting for you to feed them.
Yeah.
And they just wait. And so if you disappear and they need to make a decision, everything stalls because they're not empowered with the information that aligns them to the highest intent to make a decision on their own when they can't find you. So we want to make leaders. I see leadership as its own thing. So you might be a great marketer or a great engineer or a great finance guy, and that's what gets you noticed and promoted. And we think rewarding people is, hey, let's give them a team. But then they're left to their own devices, and leadership is its own mindset and its own skill set. And once you're given that responsibility and privilege of leading another group of people, that's your job. That's number one. You're not a marketer anymore. You're a leader of a marketing team, right? There's a difference. You're not on the marketing team. You lead the marketing team. So your job is to create the conditions for that team to excel. And that's a different mindset and a different skill set. And I believe that it's about serving the team, right? The team doesn't serve you, you serve the team.
That's
And the
right.
best way to serve them is to coach them.
Absolutely.
And I also think it depends on, again, we've talked about this a lot, the generational differences. So sometimes you've got these millennials, these younger professionals that are leading maybe the older workforce and the Gen Zers, the younger workforce. And again, they have to understand how to communicate so that all of these generations are understanding whatever it is, and also feeling listened to or feeling respected or feeling like they belong or they have something to say. So it is a little bit of psychology in all of this. To be a leader, you've got to have, we talk about emotional intelligence. You have to kind of understand how to decipher language from different workers, and what they're saying to you or what they mean. And that's a sensitive responsibility now for a leader. It isn't about knowing it all. It's about the subtlety of understanding your people,
Yeah, managing might be a one size fits all thing, but leadership is a one size fits one, right?
Yes.
Who am I sitting across from? And I believe that the most important skills for leaders, and with all the talk of technology and AI, and we're thinking about the future, I think the future is very human. That to succeed in organizations in the future, we need to get better at those human skills, right? The soft skills that some people use the word
Right.
soft skills. But those human skills and empathy and curiosity are the leader's best friend. That get better at being an empathetic person, get better at being curious and asking great questions, really listening. If you get better at empathy and curiosity, it's going to accelerate your development and your career, because I think it's the differentiator, and I think it's a competitive advantage for leaders who want to really turbocharge their career path. If you get better at those human skills, no one's going to touch you.
Yeah. And you said something there that really jumped out at me too, because we can ask good questions, but you said, and really listen. And I think that's the key, right? You got to really listen, not cut them off, let them finish, and then, kind of ask more questions, or, hey, have you thought about this or thought about that? But that's the hardest part, is that we all want to just give input right away before the other person's actually done saying their stuff.
Yeah, and it depends on what you're listening for, right? I mean, so, a lot of people show up, and I see this in a lot of organizations, especially with very senior leadership teams. A lot of people engage in the conversation in order to win the conversation, right? They want to be the one who solves the problem or shows that they're right? And I think it's better to show up to learn in the conversation, right? People, I think mistakenly we've equated winning with knowing more than the other person. I think as we move forward, winning is having the capacity to learn faster than somebody else and share that, and then share that learning and cascade that learning. So I think that the way that people show up to conversations is limiting, and it kills creativity, it kills innovation, because people are showing up for conversations, especially in C-suites around the country and the world. And it's a bunch of people who think they know everything, and they're talking at one another instead of talking with one another.
That's right. That's
Absolutely.
so true. It's so true.
Absolutely. So Greg, how do you go through this? So if someone's interested in going through this process, what is the process when they start working with you? Give us some.
Well, there's a few different ways. So we provide individual executive coaching for leaders, and we help them get really focused on what are they trying to achieve on behalf of the organization. What does their team need from them, and what do they think that they need to get better at, and how do they know that, and how can we help them improve in one or two areas that will unlock a lot of other things for them. So executive coaching, we support teams. So whole teams, if you help a whole team learn how to create better alignment amongst them and between them, and build their collective capacity for leading and listening and communicating and coaching, right? Then the whole team is growing together. So we do team development work, and then we offer leadership development programs. We've got a program called Be a Great Coach that is based on all the stuff in the new book, that is helping teams and leaders across organizations create that culture of coaching and empowerment in their organizations. So those are the ways that we engage with organizations and teams and leaders to help them.
And do you meet once a week? Do you meet twice a month? Once a month?
Yeah, so it depends on the leader, right? So every coaching engagement is different. So how frequently do they want to meet and need to meet? So usually it starts out a couple of times a month, and then they can check in between. Sometimes it's a longer term. I've got folks that I've coached going on 15 years now, where we'll coach for a while, and then they'll take a little break, and then they come back, and so the cadence is different depending upon the length of the relationship and what they're trying to achieve.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Great.
So, Greg, what's one or two things? So someone's listening to this and they're trying to determine what kind of leader they are and where they need help. What's one or two things you could have them ask themselves, or give them some advice to clarify that for them?
Yeah, so there's actually, I do an exercise with all the folks that I coach, that I want them to be clear on what do they aspire to in terms of their leadership. And so I would ask every leader to try to fill in the blanks. And actually, they could go to our website and find this activity on the website. And if they can't find it, they could email me, hello@ultraleadership.com, and we'll send them the exercise. And it's also in the book. But I want leaders to be clear on what's their aspiration in terms of the impact that they want to have. So I like we play match game. I want them to fill in the blanks. I am a blank leader who helps others blank. And that's something that's evergreen, right? So I am a servant leader who helps other people find bold and purposeful outcomes for themselves, right? So they fill in the blanks, and I go, okay, great. So that's evergreen, right? That's what you want people saying about you when you're not around. That you are a creative leader who helps others do X, Y, or Z. And knowing that impact statement, that aspiration, then I can say, okay, so what in your current role gives you an opportunity to really live that out and manifest that? And then what do you want to do next, so that we can start to use your current role as a laboratory for practicing what you're going to need to be good at for that next role. So we get aligned on what's that impact statement. So if somebody's listening, and I would want you to get really clear on what's that aspiration, what impact do you want to make, and then look at your current role, think about what you want to do next, in terms of is that impact statement 100% true today, or is it still 100% aspirational?
Mhm.
And that helps us figure out, what do we need to work on in coaching then, right? Okay, so then there's 2 or 3 things that you need to start working on today in order to make that impact statement true all the time. And then helps us begin the work. So that's what I would encourage, leaders to do, is get clear on what's that impact statement that you hope people are saying about you when you're not around, and then start to work to make it true more and more and more of the time.
Love
I
it.
think
Love it.
that's
Thanks for
great.
sharing that. Appreciate it. And,
Yeah.
and what have you found to be one of your biggest struggles when you're coaching? Is there 1 or 2 things that always seems to come up?
It's the thing that gets in the way for a lot of leaders too. I love to solve the problems. I love to be I would love my clients to say, "Oh, Greg, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that," and it works. And so I have to fight that urge all the time. That I want to be the one who drops the adds. Marshall Goldsmith would say in his book, "What got you here won't get you there." Right? It's one of the bad habits, is trying to create too much value, add too much value. I want to solve people's problems for them, and I know that I can't. That's not my job as the coach. My job is to pose the question and have my client solve their own problems. So I'm not there to tell them what to do. And I still, 20 years, 20 some years in, I still have to, hold myself back from trying that, and remind myself, no, Greg, just ask the questions. They own it. It's their life. It's their team.
Sure.
They own this. Let them figure it out.
Well, as the female in the room, I can say that's also kind of a male characteristic. You know what I mean? More so, I think, wanting to solve the problem quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than piecing it apart and really analyzing it and such. That's great. That's wonderful that you admit that, Greg. I think that's funny. And also, it keeps it interesting for you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because you have to constantly be in check as well with your clients. But I agree. I think it is, Jeff and I talk about this all the time. It's the biggest challenge, is leaders wanting to boss instead of support. And it is the new way of business, because I think it has a lot to do with a lot of things. I think with technology, these 4 generations are so much more specific in the way that they like to live in their jobs. You know what I mean? In their careers. All 4 of them are a little different, and so you've got to understand what brings them the positivity and the encouragement to participate as a team member in a business, whether they're 25 or 65. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of different reasons and reasonings behind it. So you've got to know what that is. And so definitely not wanting to take charge, but wanting to listen more and to coach rather than boss. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We are preaching to the choir back and forth here, because this is, if we want to engage people and we want to empower them and we want to, unlock, their talent and really activate them, then we need to make that shift from being a boss, thinking about it, using my title and authority to get things done, versus showing up as a person and being a leader and engaging with empathy and curiosity and trusting that the people on my team have the knowledge and the skill and the desire to be and do their best every day. Nobody comes to work thinking, I got, I don't want to do my best today. Even people who are kind of starting to disengage, show up wanting to do their best.
Yes.
And so sometimes my best is only 70. This is 100% today. This is what it looks like today, versus tomorrow. This is what 100% looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we as leaders make that shift? And I 100% agree with you, Jana. Stop being a boss, stop being a manager, and start being a leader and a coach for folks. And that gets people to lean in, so they're engaged, makes them feel empowered. Oh, you trust me? That's empowering, man. What the most powerful words we can utter? I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
How empowering is that? How cool is that to hear that from your leader, and to feel that every day? It's like, okay, I will give 110% all the time when I know that somebody has said to me, I trust you, go do it.
Yeah. And I think it's important to make sure that our listeners understand too, you don't have to be leading someone to be a leader. You can be
Right.
peer leading, right? Where you're with other people, you're all peers, but work on being a good leader as a peer as well. Because I think that's critical. And that actually helps you to become a better leader as you at some point become a leader over people and you're guiding them. But I really think it's important to have these peer leaders as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been in rooms where the leader is not the person with the title. It's the person who is most able to learn from what's being said in the conversation. And there's always a void in a meeting or a conversation. There's a leadership void at some moment in the conversation. And there's always, and that provides an opportunity for anybody to lead. And I've seen it many times where the most junior person from a hierarchical perspective, is really listening and then, takes a deep breath and says, here's what I'm hearing, here's what I'm thinking, and here's my question. And because of the way that they've done that, it unlocks the conversation and takes things deeper, gets things more creative, and moves the group to an aligned decision and what's the best next step for us to take. And it's 99% of the time, it is not the person with the title who steps into that leadership moment.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. Greg, as we wind things down, I got one final question for you here. You've been doing this for 20 years, and I love when I get to interview people that have been doing something for such a long time. So the question is, what's one thing that you've changed your mind about over the last 20 years of what you've been teaching and now how you do it today?
Oh my gosh. I think what I've changed my mind about is that there are many paths, and that I've learned to like loosen my grip on my way or somebody, on what what I hold dear. It's like, yeah, this is what I think. So I've become a majority of one, and I'm okay with that. And so I used to be really precious about the way that we did it was the best way, and it had to be this way. And if you didn't get it, there's something wrong with you. And I've really come to, what, this is just a way. And if there's another way that works for you, God bless you, go do that. I just want you to figure out, what I want you to have a great experience. I think we make things more difficult and more complicated than they need to be. And so if you find a way that works for you, go do that. And so that's why we've turned almost everything in our organization into shareware. So everything, we put it in all the books, we put it on the website, we put it on the YouTube channel. It's like, this is all shareware now. It's like, because it's a way. And if you've got a better way, go do it. And if this is value, if you find value in this, I really appreciate that. But it's just, it's one way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest shift that I've made is I've let go of the need for, no, this is it. It's like, nah, this is, what, we're just it's all shareware. Let's figure it out and let's all get better together.
That's huge. That's powerful. I got to tell you, Greg, because we all get caught up in the our way is the best way kind of thing. So basically what you're saying is, look, I can help, but and whichever way you want to learn, let's go for it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Greg, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, they find me on LinkedIn, and let me know that you heard me, here on this terrific podcast, and we'll connect on LinkedIn. We've got a YouTube channel at Ultra Leadership where you can get and we do a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn and a weekly video on our YouTube channel. And it's all kind of the stuff that we're talking about today. And they could also find me at our website, ultraleadership.com.
Awesome. Wonderful. And I'm assuming your book is up on Amazon if they want to go find that.
Book is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Yeah. So you can find it wherever you get your books.
I love it. I love it. Well, Greg, thanks for being on the show today. We really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
And to all our listeners, thank you as always, Jen. And I love the support that you continually give us. Keep the emails coming. Go check out Greg's book and see if you can support him that way too. But we're excited to have Greg on today. It was a great conversation. We hope that you enjoyed it as well. Until the next time, stay safe and be healthy.